Okay. I'm usually not a debunker. You know, it's not what I do is go around debunking. What I'm doing is ancient Near East studies, ancient cultures, mythological folklore, things like that. I've studied for over 35 years, and I've put out a lot of videos and stuff. I've put out some decent ones here lately that have to do with Egyptian mummies and an Aryan connection to them, and Sumerians, which were Aryans, and in the process, ended up getting a bunch of flack. And I guess you get trolls all the time on the internet, but this kind of disturbs me a little bit and something I'll need to look into. But so the guy tells me that he's one of the new Hebrew Israelites. And I really wasn't aware of this, I guess people just live their lives here. I mean, we're not going around trying to be all anyhow. So he goes on and proceeds to tell me that the blacks came over and they were Hebos, and that was Hebrews, but they didn't know how to pronounce it, and all this other stuff. And he goes off and off about, and the next thing you know, he starts going off on Whitey, and it gets way out of hand. He starts calling me the devil and that I'm some Cro-Magnon that he taught how to wash and bathe. It's it's hilarious. They actually have this belief that they were the primordial man. I think they somehow got it because everybody said out of Africa, but nobody ever said they were the Africans that came out of Africa. Clearly, it's easily seen that it was the other people that came out of Africa. But check this out. I'm going to debunk this here real quick, two in one, and then go into a full reveal here that'll even just slap the feet right up from up under it. So let's try this. Um, This is when they're selling black people, and they say, look, they say they're selling fine Hebos here for sale to be sold on board the ship Bani Island on Tuesday the 6th. By the way, this is a Jewish trade ship that ends up keeping people for a while in the West Indies and then bringing them in here as long as they're healthy. And so they try to keep them healthy, and it's a hard ride over and everything, but then they get them there, they keep them healthy, and then they bring them into the States. The fine Hebos have just arrived from the Windward and other islands. I'll show you this here in a minute without this writing over it that somebody put on that he wanted me to see this. So he wants me to debunk all these things. He said they were the ancient Egyptians and all this stuff, and they ruled everybody and taught us how to bathe. So, and it's silly. It's like they won't even listen to modern people because what he said was that everybody's trying to hide it all. It's a big conspiracy against black people. Yeah. But so the utmost care has been already taken and shall be continued to keep them free from the breath danger of being infected with thee. And the next statement is smallpox, because smallpox is a bad thing, and that happened back then. And if you remember, really, Americans didn't kill all the Indians. Smallpox that we accidentally brought to them because they had never been exposed to it killed off a lot of them before we ever even met them. And then ones that were half exposed that tried to move to west of us before we even took over the west had basically decimated them out too. How the West was won. Well, you can look it up. How the West was won was smallpox. Well, so it's funny. He's got this Hebos, right? Well, you come to find out that Hebos there. Let's see, where is it again? Oh, there it is. There's that Hebos, right? Well, there's also this. And ironically, this paper cutting right here is where it all comes from. And that all of a sudden gives you an idea of that's been doctored. So let's look at this. So this is the same document, and what they did was they twisted Negroes into Hebrews. Isn't it hilarious? And they squinched down the font, yeah, right there where they did it to try to fit it in, and they put the word fine in front of it. The only sad thing is it already says fine here. So now it doesn't even make correct English because he says a choice of cargo about 150 fine, healthy, fine Negroes. And that's the reason it's not written here. right? Just arrived from the windward and rice coast. So that's where it is. That's the islands down there. The utmost care has been taken to get them. And if you keep them from being infected with smallpox. No boat having been on board, all other communication with people in Charlestown prevented. Well, smallpox used to take people out real bad. I mean, it took out the Indians and everything. So how could we possibly get something out of this? Well, if we look down here at the bottom, he tells you, he wants to let you know, NB, full one half of the above Negroes have had the smallpox in their own country. Why is that significant? Well, whenever you meet people that's had smallpox before and you haven't had it, you get it. Even though they don't have it right then, it's something that gets transferred in that way. That's what took out the Indians. It's something that, ran around the planet eventually. It's a lot of the diseases like that eventually had to run around the planet. In fact, viruses we have now today have to kind of run around the planet. So what does this tell you? Well, it tells you that these Negroes that are taken out of Western Africa have never been in contact with the people of the Levant area and up into Europe or the Egyptians, because they didn't get smallpox. Whenever everybody went around and did their thing, they didn't. All the old trade routes, nobody, because smallpox, everything went through all of that. That's why nobody got it from that group. But the people that had never been exposed would be susceptible to it. And here, now, do you think, now let's see, he says fully half the above Negroes has had smallpox in their own country. Now, do you think that he's trying to be real honest about that, or is he trying to be forward like, ah? See, so it could be much more skewed even than that. It could get way up there. And then you find out the amount of smallpox that they had after the journey and had them in the islands that they had to cure and make sure they were good of before they took them healthily into the States. It was almost like an inoculation type of thing that they had going on. Yeah. So this shows you that they never had contact with people that had contact with the Bible. Because you know that all the Romans and Greeks and all that had contact with those people. And in fact, they were those people. So, I mean, there it is right there. So you look at it, they try to falsify this stuff and put it out there. And they've got people believing this crap. I mean, slaves called Hebrews, Ebus, Igbos, African Jews. And everybody's putting this stuff out there like it's possibly true. We have all been lied to, whatever reason about this fact. There's who taking the slaves from the slave coast West Africa are in fact Hebrews. I'm a Christian. I do believe in Yeshua. You come to find out that's put on by one of these black racist guys. It's incredible. So they're becoming black racists, and they say that they've been under slavery for 400 years, like in the Bible, and it's fixing to come back on Whitey. Why would it come back on Whitey? Whitey didn't have much to do with the slave trade. I mean, actually, the extensive slave trade and Jewish slaveholding, that's Jews. When you're saying, oh, well, that's Whitey. No, that's not Whitey at all. We've got, man, everybody except for blacks is Caucasian, and that's Whitey. So we're going to have a real problem figuring it out unless you're going to start doing some DNA tests. But, yeah. So here they figure out that, oh, sorry. They tell you here that, indeed, during the colonial period in the small Jewish community of the time, almost every Jewish household from any time north or south possessed at least one slave. And then you know that if they're rich, they get two or three, because for Jewish people, it's a big thing to have slaves, right, in the Bible. White people never really took part in any of this. But they did a lot. And you find out that only 26% of the people in the South were slave owners. And then you come to find out there's about that many of Jewish people. And if you cut them up and said, okay, here's how many goes to here, it doesn't leave too many other people other than Jewish people to have possibly owned the slaves. Isn't that amazing? Well, they're not plantation owners and things anymore. No. They follow the money. Now they're all bankers and bullshit like that. But sure enough, there's your truth, And so, hold on, the ships were not only owned by Jews, but were manned by Jews, crewed, and sailed under the command of Jewish captains. Source: the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Really? Yeah. Hmm. Did you know that? Yeah. And they probably embrace that Bible that tells you you're supposed to enslave people and do all this stuff, and they're embracing that Bible now and saying that's us, and it's like, no, 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 no. That 400 years happened to Abraham, and really happened in the land of Canaan whenever they were for 400 years up under the rule of Egypt. And that's where the whole Egypt thing is, and that's why we can't find any record of it in history, is because it never happened to the Jews. It actually happened to the Canaanites, and they pulled it off. And the Jews showed up right at the end, and they went, "Yeah, yeah," and jumped in on it and wrote it down in their history. Kind of like black people are taking and rewriting Hebrews and trying to make up their own little history. You know? Hmm. Makes you wonder about all this. You know? Yeah. Makes you wonder why they think that they should be able to rise up or do anything towards white people. I think, weren't we the ones that actually freed them? I was I was really pretty sure that we actually were the ones that freed them, so I'm not sure why that would happen. Oh, so here's some other information. The first slave owner in America was not only a black man, but he went to court and demanded it. What? Well, this guy right here, and people are saying that ain't his picture now because they didn't have photographs back then. And we're like, no, not the year that it happened, but about a little bit later they had photographs, and he's old as hell in that picture, so it's possible. But regardless of the picture, it's a black man that owned another black man, and it was the first slave owned. Oh, what do you mean owned? Oh, everybody else was chattel slavery. White people had chattel slavery. Before this time right here, there had been more white people enslaved in America than black people. It's called chattel slavery, and it's what black people were all into until this moment, where a black man enslaved another black man. In 1654, it was sometime Anthony was to release John Casor, a black indentured servant. Instead of Anthony sold Casor, he was extended his time. He told him he was going to extend his time. Casor left anyhow and became employed by the free white man, Robert Parker, and got employed as a normal thing. Anthony Johnson sued Robert Parker in the Northampton court in 1654 as if he was his property, but he wasn't. In 1655, the court ruled that Anthony Johnson could hold John Casor indefinitely, and the court gave judicial sanctions for blacks to own slaves of their own race, and thus Casor became the first permanent slave and Johnson the first slave owner. When they're like, oh, they're just making that up. Yeah, everybody's trying to hide and make up shit. No, 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 no. We just saw a minute ago, guess who's trying to make up shit and say they're Hebrews? There's no blacks even in the Bible. It's Egyptians, right? It's Egyptians and the Persians and the white people from up north. It's the Ham, Japheth, and so let's see. Ham and Japheth and Shem. So there's your Shemites, which would be your more Persian-y people. So the Shemites were saying they were more Persian. So let's look at this. And let's just see ancient Egyptians. This will debunk them at all. Pre-dynastic, blue eyes. It's not my video here, but he debunked somebody with it, so I thought I would. Afrocentrics deny this. Fourth dynasty head proves otherwise. That's a fourth dynasty. What does that look like? Does that have African looking features to you? Don't tell me that all of a sudden your face changed, because science will tell you otherwise. Where are the Negroid features? Well, let's look at some more of them. So, what are they doing here? Well, this guy's telling you we've seen too many of these to mention of their darkened Afro shop ones in these, where they darken all the colors on them. He'll show you some that they've done this to here shortly, but they're doing it with Photoshop. Black people now have Photoshop. So, there's a boat carrying Nubian slaves to Egypt. a lot of 4th and 5th dynasty stuff here, and this guy here. I mean, 5th dynasty kingdom. Here's the problem here. I had to take a better look at this, and I've got a thing where you can actually go look at it online, where this is inside of one of the tombs here, and it shows actually a whole bunch of Nubians getting killed and attacked by dogs. See, because Egyptians had already befriended dogs and had attacked dogs, but the Nubians didn't. They didn't have any animals or beasts of burden at that point. They were still really kind of hunter-gatherers and attacking more of a kind of a Indian kind of way and doing it. Look at these guys attacking here, getting them. That guy's head's come off. Maybe the paint's come off that's in between it. No, it kind of looks like his head came off. That might be him face down there. But anyhow, this is one of their triumph things in Egypt. So I'm pretty sure they're not like having love for African people. What do you think? But let's continue. Oh yeah, he points out, yeah, the dog's just attacking that dude. Biting this dude on the head. Fifth dynasty. Oh man, that looks like that English actor dude. What's his name? And that again looks like some English actor dude. That looks like that guy that's, man, I can't remember actors' names, especially English ones that I hardly see the movies of. But yeah, anyhow, let's just continue and let it go through some of these. There's a woman. Fifth dynasty. There's her overall. Where's the magical Negroids? Well, there's really not any. Well, let's keep looking. There's a few of them, I'm sure. And they do have representations of them. I've seen them before. But they're definitely more Negroid, and they usually have a big ring in their ears. They let them know that they got a ring in their ear, because they would put a ring in their ear as a sign of the slavery of them. Like they'd either put it in their nose or their ear. But yeah, that looks a whole lot more like that. In fact, that looks more white than her. That looks like a white dude. That looks like Mona Lisa. It looks like her, Mona Lisa. Yeah. Oh, the reds, the red clay they make stuff out of, and red ochre. And a lot of people get a lot of red in the sun whenever they get baked. Men are always red. Women are always done a little bit lighter color. They use 2 color tones for men and women. Men are out in the sun more. Women are inside more. Look at the blue eyes. Yeah, it's kind of a Josephy looking guy there. 11th dynasty. I think that does put it close. Yeah, I'd say that does look like her. Yeah. And this is like a ruling couple. Way back in the 3rd dynasty. So we're looking at the old stuff and the first stuff. You know? No. Wow, he's even got a sharp little nose and everything, so yeah, but you can, I mean, it's pretty easy. Yeah, see, there's a match, and that is supposed to be some prince or something, or some servant of somebody in the 24th dynasty, 25th dynasty. But early dynasty stuff, see, we're looking at is, so whenever Egypt starts and gets all going, before the Hyksos, and they leave and go out through the Levant and up into Europe and become all the Europeans. Who are they? Well, they're Europeans. No, they don't look like that. That's the sculptures. Well, that's what they show the black people to look like. There's no mistaking that's a Caucasian. So, ancient Egyptians are not Negroids, nor are they related to West Africans or their African American descendants, which they like to delude themselves on a daily basis. Very laughable. Yeah, well, this guy's kind of pissed about it. Well, after what I've been called, I'm kind of am too a little bit. But no, not really, man. I just want to, find and get the truth. And what's funny is I thought there was a lot more Egyptians and Persians in here, and maybe a few whiter looking people, but it comes out to where it's not at all. It's funny. While they try to come off with this stuff, you find the truth. Whenever they come off and say they're Hebrews because it's got a Hebrew on it, you find out, no, chicken pox, busted. You've never been exposed. All these people have. You've never been with these people. Never met them, never got exposed to them. Well, that does kind of match. I used to have a friend in school that looked just like that. He ended up having a football accident. Yeah, SETI. And that's what he's doing to prisoners there. Black prisoners, that's SETI. Yep, Nubians were enemies of Egypt, so definitely. And of course, you know, I don't know if they experience white people very much. We get real good tans. I get incredibly dark. I go out and play golf a few times, and I'm dark. I'm George Hamilton dark. They say that it took up on that continent, but that doesn't matter. As big as that continent is, you know, that whole area. Sure, it's connected to it. Sure, it's connected to it, but it doesn't really matter on that. They want to quote Herodotus, and they say, see, he talked about woolly hair. Well, actually, he says curly hair and dark skin, and my hair gets pretty damn curly, and I get dark skin, so... I missed that, but hopefully y'all will catch it. I was going to say it to you, but what the ancient authors said about Egypt. South Indians. It's not white like other men's, but black like their skin, and resembles in this the respect of the Ethiopians. Not white like other men's, but black, Let me mention one more way in which the Colchians resemble the Egyptians. These two peoples alone work linen, and they do so in the same way. So it probably links cultures slightly some way. They want to focus on a fake agenda. Well, Hippocrates says in Airs, Waters, Places, 15, Colchians and Phasis are large and corpulent in body, neither in joint or evidence, so they have yellow flesh as victims of jaundice. Sounds more like white people if you keep them out of the sun. Don't get any vitamin D going on. Sure enough. Yeah, I'd say he was saying yellow. Ethiopians have the woolliest hair of all men. Herodotus Histories 7710. Oh, Herodotus also states Egyptians resemble northern Indians, not the South Indians. Southern Indians resemble Ethiopians. I've heard that before too, yeah. At one time, India was much more separated than it is now. And you can even still see the separation in northern India and southern India. Northern India, it really turns Caucasian. Yeah, Egyptos. That's the name for Egypt. And he never refers to Ethiopians by that name, Aethiops. He never called Egyptians Aethiops either. There's another guy from the 4th Dynasty. Here's what he was talking about before. They take this photo here of a lady that's here. This is the same lady. You can see the headdress, even count the cubes if you want to. The mushed part right here, the band on the side, and the nush nose. That's her. But they take that and they darken the photos and hit contrast on them real hard. You know, you can do in Photoshop. That's what she looks like sitting there at the place. I mean, even the smudge on the side here you can see is darker and really more skin colored. And what color is that? It's tan. But here it ends up going into an indigo black because they've darkened the whole thing. Well, they've darkened it so bad they've even made the white of her eyes turn black. But you can see they're blue with white on them. That's caught too. Kind of like my thing I caught earlier. It's so sad they do all this stuff to try to make it cover up, but I mean, he's got blue eyes. He's got blue eyes and a little mustache. And he looks like Hector. Wow, that dude's got kind of gold on his face. Like they put gold impregnated on his face. She's like kneading bread. Hey, hey. Fifth Dynasty. Old Kingdom. Well, let's see. It's going to go through these and show just a lot more. We're going to go through all these little dynasties and jump back and forth. And I looked at this once. He's got a lot of... He shows the African people here and what they look like on some of the murals. Well, here's a moment of Afrocentric madness right here. Check this out. So what this says is that that they say because of the color of skin, some are abandoned as babies. Parents who are regarded by lack of pigment. This happens in Africa to this day as a curse. They call them a curse in East Africa. Look this up. What they actually do to albinos. Many more subject to taunts of Ziru, Swahili for ghost, and on the street they call them a nothing, a zero. But now Tanzania and Burundi's 8,000 albinos face more horrible threat, fueled by macabre combinations of superstitions and economics. Over the past 2 years, according to a new report from International Federation of Red Cross and Red Cross Crescent Societies, the people that are helping them over there, at least 56 albinos in the two countries have been murdered, and their body parts are used by witch doctors to make charms and potions. To this day. Now, black people, you're all grown up here in America, and now you know about this shit. Now, what do you think? You know, I mean, you imagine you could have been there. You could be sitting there thinking albinos are something weird and making potions. So if Caucasians were albinos, then all Caucasians would look like this guy. They wouldn't be able to have any variation. They'd just be straight looking like that. White people are not albinos. Albinos get a lack of pigment. I get dark as hell. Albinos can't get any pigment. It's like vitiligo 100%. And I think they know that, but they're trying to say shit and believe it. Just look at these comparisons here. I want to let you know I'm not racist at all. I've got a few black friends I play with all the time. We got a guy across the street over here. My church just had a black and white wedding. I'm against racism. I'm against it. If you don't like Japanese people, I don't like you not liking Japanese people because you call them Japanese people and you say they're all wrong. What did one ever do to you? I hate World War II. Well, dude, that happened so long ago. Can you ever get over something that never happened during your lifetime, much less 6 generations ago? You know, it gets kind of odd and disgusting. But yeah, see the facial scarring on her, and now they put it on him. And that's the only one we found. There's your match. It's really the only one we found. So, well, it's black people, yeah. But that's not a match. No, that's not a match. So Nubians and Nubian fan bearers, he said something about. Yeah, it's co-joined, but just because it's co-joined to Africa too doesn't mean there's not a desert trapping in between the two of them. Well, look at this. Look at these people over here. I mean, that looks like almost a Spaniard. Yeah, almost a Spaniard, and really, kind of a Etruscan lady, huh? You know, yeah. But oh, they're all Caucasian-looking features, huh? Yeah, there's a black person. That's why they make them look. That's one twisted up in a knot. They really had no love for black people at all. There are steles that say real bad things about black people. So people say, oh, they were all black, and like, why would they have such hatred towards them? I'm not sure what the hatred is. What happened? One of the ancient stories said that they came in and attacked one time and took somebody important's children, and by the time they tracked him down, they were eating him. So, yeah, look how they polluted that picture with a bunch of stuff, but then you look at it, it looks like this. These blue eyes. You can see they're wearing headdresses, too, that are fake. It's just fake hair pieces they put over the top of their hair. Look at the way this guy looks. That looks like that British actor that plays, what's his name? It's not Ben Kingsley, it's the other guy. Oh, wow. The face match, too. Oh, from the next in the line of Tutankhamun. Yeah, I wouldn't say that looks black at all. Yeah, this guy looks kind of Josephy, doesn't he? And there was one earlier too. Noska looks like a Kushka doll, doesn't it? One of those the dolls that they have in Russia. Yeah, no, there's your Joseph, white-looking Joseph, and they're going through an entire museum here, and I think it's about 3 museums worth of stuff, and there's no black people. I mean, I don't know if black people, they want to take the pictures and change them, but look at the features on these urns even. Look at this. I mean, sure they got eye paint on, but imagine there she is with eye paint on. Men wore eye paint, so it looked a little funny. But I'd say that's definitely a match. Yeah, people always wonder what that looked like before they took the nose. Oh, well, that's supposed to be the pharaoh that it was. So, look at that real quick. This is supposed to be the pharaoh that it was, and he took the side shot of it here. You can see it shadowed in the back, and just made it poke out and line up with the forehead. And that does look like it may be the exact pharaoh, doesn't it? That it could have been. And if that is the one, then that's the white guy that I said looked like an actor a minute ago. Or the Caucasoid-looking person. Yeah, blue eyes. They have a lot of lapis lazuli inset blue eyes. People have known that for years. I mean, ever since it ever came out. King Tut and everybody's got lapis lazuli inset eyes. And so, I mean, that of course says that it doesn't have a lot of black genome, but now they've done DNA tests and found out that there's really no sub-Saharan African in any of these guys until much later, and it really infiltrates at about 700 BC eventually. Almost look like Bruce Lee. Boat builders, yeah. So the real concern here, though, guys, is that in 2019 they say they're going to rise up and do something crazy, and it's all bad about Whitey because they were the ancient Egyptians and they were the Hebrews. And we just found out now that they're not the ancient Egypt. Look at this guy. How Greek he looks. That they're not the ancient Egyptians, really. Maybe there's a few mixed in, but they sure aren't them. In the earliest dynasties? No, that's not. And so you really can't claim that. And the Hebrew thing with the smallpox? You can't claim that either. Yeah, that just looks like a white couple, you know, a little bit chubby. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, just see how she's wearing a fake wig, but that's like her hair below it. So they keep real short hair because they got a lice problem. Probably from the Hebrew god. Remember, he causes lice and all kinds of pestilences and crap. But oh, by the way, we know now that the Bible was totally made by the Greeks, and all of fabrication to deify their god Saturn, who in the Levant area was known as El, and that's why you get the Elohim and El this and El that. And by the way, El Shaddai, that everybody goes crazy on, is actually the female goddess Asherah, and it means God of the 2 breasts or 2 mountains. And Shad means breasts in Hebrew, so she's God of them titties. God Almighty. Look at them blue eyes. Hey. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Another one bites the dust. Yep, another Afrocentric myth that the guy wanted me to debunk bites the dust. Yeah, I'll go with that right there. That almost looks like that is her. That really almost looks like that is her. I think that's going to about do it for this one, guys. But I want you to be well aware of it. We need to let, I guess, national security and the Homeland Security know about this because it's a homeland situation here. We're going to fix to be apparently attacked in our own homeland. Need to be aware. Peace.